Happy Monday. Welcome to a whole new week filled with possibilities, new goals, things that I know that you're accomplishing in your business. And as part of that, you got to have some motivation. So we're here with Motivation Monday Coffee Chats. I have joining me today Lisa Zawrotny. Lisa is a productivity expert. She created positively productive systems after a deeply overwhelming time in her life as a caregiver for her mom who had Alzheimer's, while also caring for her family, her kids, her cats, and her hubby, and running multiple businesses. After being trapped in her own clutter and chaos, she took back her own health and sanity through a combination of renewed self-care, personal development, and her own customized organization and productivity approaches. She not only changed where her family lived, but how they lived, a process so healing she had to help others do the same. As a certified life coach specializing in productivity and organizing, Lisa helps her multitasking clients trade overwhelm for organized by decluttering their lives and designing customized routines and systems that honor their personalities and values. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you this morning. We're going to talk about Gretchen Rubin. Okay, Gretchen, I'm a big fan of Gretchen Rubin and her happiness project. We're going to talk about tying that into your motivation. We're also going to talk about that idea of going through a season where maybe there's some loss of self. Maybe you're a caregiver in a lot of directions, how you boost your motivation through that. So join me for this conversation with Lisa Zawrotny. So, hey, Lisa, thanks for joining me for Coffee Chat this morning.
Oh, thank you, Jessica. I'm delighted to be here.
All right.
I have my coffee.
Excellent. We both do. We've already checked to make sure we had coffee, well caffeinated. So that leads me perfectly to my first question. So, Lisa, if I were meeting you at your local coffee shop, what would you be ordering?
It's going to depend on the coffee shop. If we're going to go kind of the more hipster coffee shop in the New York area, maybe our local Starbucks, I'm definitely in the latte kind of zone. Sometimes I'm going to keep the sugar low, but always, whether it's latte or it's coffee or an iced coffee, got to have the half and half in it. So,
ooh, lovely. That sounds really good. All right, excellent. Well, and Lisa just alluded, she is actually in the New York area. And thank you so much for joining us. I love that we have this coffee chat is geographically all over the place, which is so exciting. So let's go ahead and dig into the meat of the conversation. So I've been going around, I've been talking with folks about what motivates them in their business. And so if I pose that question for you, what kinds of things come up?
well, the first thing I start to think about is, when we talk about finding your why or what's your why are you doing this? And I love pondering that because I think that there's more than one that comes up. And I think that happens for a lot of people, and it's okay. One is kind of like how I support my family and, in what I'm doing with my business, and not just supporting them financially, but how I model for my kids, that they see a mom who's running a business and what I'm trying to contribute to the world and to them. So that's kind of one of my whys. And then the other one is just literally what I'm doing, which is helping people and teaching them. And I think my favorite thing is to learn and then to transfer that learning and teach what I've learned.
Okay, awesome. So learning new stuff. And yeah, I mean, definitely as moms, we definitely are modeling that. And I love that supporting family that you're bringing up. But that idea of learning new things and teaching others, what's something new that you've learned recently in the last, let's say, year or two?
Oh gosh, it's a lot because I love to learn so much, but I think the thing that pops into my brain immediately that I've loved and I've been able to transfer to so many client calls is something that comes from an author by the name of Gretchen Rubin, and she's done the Happiness Project, Better Than Before, yeah, and her 4 tendencies. This idea of how we work in terms of expectations, inner or outer, and how that relates to accountability. And as a productivity coach, that's like hugely important to me to understand how people tick, because it's all well and good for us to say, I have a to-do list and I'm not getting to it, and I love to dig deeper. So that's a dig deeper kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so if you're familiar with the four tendencies, have you taken the quiz to figure out which one you are?
I have not taken the quiz because I'm afraid.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to have to chat about this, because so far I've been 100% in terms of my guessing. But I'll tell you that we have the upholder, the questioner, the obliger, and the rebel. And I am totally the questioner. And considering I'm a coach, it kind of makes sense. And so, yeah, that's something that I've learned, and I've been able to transfer it to a lot of people, because it really, once you understand more, you have a better awareness of how you work best, how you tick, why you do the things you do, then you can find the right tools to totally be productive.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lisa, I want to ask you the question, because I'm bringing you on. You're a productivity expert, so I know you know a lot about motivation. And so, you know, beyond just what motivates you when what you say with your clients, where do you think the biggest pitfall or the biggest struggle is when you're working with folks when it comes to motivation?
You know, I think it might be that there's misplaced motivation or not quite an understanding. And like, I love to go back to core values. And so I work in perhaps an unusual way. Yes, I love to get into the whole thing with, you know, the productivity tips and tools and how we're scheduling things and stuff like that. But really, those are all, that's the how part. And those are the specific tools, but you have to start with a proper foundation. So I love getting into the core values and understanding. And I think the biggest pitfall and the biggest problem that people have is when there's a lack of alignment. Like, you have these things that you're, why am I not motivated to do this? Why is it not working? Why am I not getting it done? And if you try to match it back to what you value, it's not going to add up. That's not going to come off your to-do list, because you know, it's not connecting. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So take us through a little bit of your journey. So we talked about your clients and what you see, but you just talked about creating core values for yourself. So as far as you and building your business, how did you go about creating some of your core values?
No, it's a great question. And it actually goes a little further back in that I created my business after trying so many things for myself as a result of being a caregiver for my mom and having my two kids. And I mean, they were babies at the time, and she had Alzheimer's. And it was one of those times in my life that was dark and difficult, and also filled with blessings that are still following me because of everything that I learned. I lost a lot of myself at the time, and I lost this concept of self-care, and of, you know, just there was so much that I had to kind of explore. And when I was coming out of it, it was like getting a second lease on life. And you know, when you have that new attitude, suddenly you're thinking differently, and you're saying, what really matters to me? So when I started exploring that, like, you know, people have a near-death experience, or they have something huge happen in their life, and suddenly all the stuff you have and the collections and the whatever, that doesn't matter anymore. And I think when I started to ask those questions, that's where I started to get into this idea of core values. And then I became a professional organizer and a productivity coach, and then a life coach, to tie it all in together, because it's all connected. And once I got that idea and started to figure out what my values are and how I want to live my life, that's how it all began, and what I do for others too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I can tell, you know, as you're talking about that, I definitely can tell and see your face lighting up. I love the phrase that you just said, talking about losing yourself as becoming that caregiver. Both those directions, caring for a child, caring for a parent, and being in that kind of sandwich place. I know a lot of people are struggling through that right now. And I know it's something that is really important to talk about. What piece of advice would you give somebody that might be struggling to find themselves through, you know, maybe not even just personally, but in business? What would be one tip you could give someone?
Well, I think when you're being pulled apart like that, or, you know, in whatever way, I mean, we can be pulled in many different directions. Sometimes in my case, it was as a caregiver. I think so many of us, especially women entrepreneurs, have that servant's heart, and I certainly do. And so I want to encourage that, but for me, it's like, don't do it to your own detriment, because if you're the vessel that's giving, then, you know, at some point it stops.
Yeah.
So you have to keep filling it back up. But in terms of like a very specific tip, it's the philosophy that I work with constantly, which is to declutter, to simplify. When things get overwhelmed, when it's all too much, when you're not sure, take a step back.
Absolutely.
Stop, breathe, simplify, clear the path.
Absolutely. I love that. So I love that you shared talking about what your motivation is, both family and also what you do, and being motivated by that. I can definitely tell, Lisa, you're so passionate about the topics that you share and helping others. So I would love to share with my audience how they could find you. Tell us a little bit about it. If they were to look for you on Planet Internet, where would they find you at?
Oh, I would love to have you visit me on Planet Internet, and I'm in a bunch of places. Probably the most prominent would be on Facebook. You can find my main business page at Positively Productive. And if you're an Instagram kind of person, I'm positively_Lisa. And of course, my website, positivelyproductive.com. And then I'm in a variety of groups on Planet Facebook as well. So I would love to see you.
All right, excellent. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today to give us a little taste of some of the services that you offer, but also talking about what really motivates you in your business, and then seeing that 3,000-foot view of how you view motivation in others. So thank you so much for being with us today.